All right, what's going on, guys? I am Kadarius Washington, and this is the Sports Rundown. Well, folks, the Las Vegas Aces are your 2025 WNBA champions. They complete the sweep of the Phoenix Mercury 97-86, your final score in Game 4 to win their third championship in the last 4 years. And, of course, before we go any further with the Aces, obviously you have to tip your hat to the Phoenix Mercury, an absolutely phenomenal season from them. And you know what? I'll be honest with y'all. When I made my season predictions in May, I didn't even pick this team to make the playoffs. I picked them to be a 9th seed because I had questions about their depth. I had questions about their chemistry because this was essentially a new roster for the Phoenix Mercury. The only players on the roster this year who were on the roster last year were, of course, Kalia Copper and Natasha Mack. They lose their all-time great franchise player to retirement in the offseason in Diana Taurasi. They don't bring back Brittany Griner, but at the same time, they bring in Alyssa Thomas and Satu Sabali via trade. And mind you, the Mercury had 0 draft picks in this past draft, so I had questions about their depth. I was wondering about their roster construction, and I just didn't really have all that faith in the Mercury at the start of the season, before the season started. And all they just did in the regular season was just win, and continue to win. And Alyssa Thomas, meanwhile, once again finding herself as an MVP contender, setting just about every single triple-double record known to the WNBA world. They go out in the postseason and they take out both of the participants of last year's WNBA final in the New York Liberty in the first round and the Minnesota Lynx in the semifinal. And listen, an absolutely phenomenal run, making it to the WNBA finals in what was supposed to be year 1 of a rebuild. And of course, the second year under the coach Nate Tibbetts. I mean, absolutely phenomenal season by Phoenix, and you have to tip your hat to them. And as far as the Aces are concerned, listen, I'll eat my crow here. Earlier this summer, I wrote this Aces team off too. I thought that their reign of dominance was over. I thought this team had hit its ceiling. I mean, they didn't even look like a championship team before the All-Star break. And of course, I thought that they would squeak into the playoffs, but even if they did, exactly what kind of damage were they going to do? Because outside of Asia Wilson and Jackie Young, this team was not playing well. They had gotten blown out by teams such as the Liberty, the Valkyries, and the Fever. And then they go and they trade for Nalissa Smith in the middle of the season from the Dallas Wings, which ultimately turned out huge for them, especially on the defensive front. And then Jewel Lloyd, who they'd gotten from the Seattle Storm via trade this offseason, she wasn't playing well as a starter, and so she decided to come off the bench, and ultimately she played much better as a bench piece than as a starter. And of course, as the story goes, this was a team who was teetering on the brink of the last playoff spot, and in their first game in August, they got absolutely destroyed by the Minnesota Lynx by 53 points. I mean, again, this was a 500 team right here, the Aces. And after that Lynx loss, what many thought was going to be the end of the Aces season really ultimately turned out to be the turning point of the season. And Asia Wilson told the team after the game, quote, "If you weren't embarrassed from yesterday, don't come to the gym. We don't need you and we don't want you here," end quote. And they didn't lose another game for the rest of the regular season. And they went all the way from a 9th seed to a 2 seed. They take down the Seattle Storm in 3, who they have owned in the postseason since 2020, when the Storm swept them in the finals that year. And then they survive a 5-game war against the Indiana Fever, and then they take down and sweep the Phoenix Mercury in the first ever best 4 out of 7 format for the WNBA Finals. And of course, you had the Dana Evans Jewel Lloyd game in Game 1 when Dana Evans went off for 21 points and Jewel Lloyd 18 points in that game. And then in Game 2, you had the Asia and Jackie game where Asia Wilson went nuts in the first half of that game and Jackie Young went nuts in the second half. And then you had Game 3 when Asia hit the game-winning shot with 2.2 left on the clock, which was absolutely incredible stuff there. And then they go out tonight and they lock up their 3rd championship in the last 4 years and officially be crowned as the league's next dynasty. And of course, you had the Houston Comets dynasty in the 90s through 2000, and then you had the Minnesota Lynx dynasty throughout the 2010s, and now you have the Las Vegas Aces to add to that list. And how about Asia Wilson? Folks, I think it's time for us to go ahead and say it. Asia Wilson is the greatest player to ever play in the WNBA. It's no longer an argument, it's a statement. No other player in the history of the league has won 4 MVPs. She's one of only 2 players to win MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in the same season twice, the other being Cheryl Swoops. No other player in the history of the league has won MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, a championship, and now Finals MVP in the same season. I mean, listen, she's cleaned up all of the major awards this year. Scoring title, MVP, all WNBA first team, all defensive first team, championship, Finals MVP, and a whole bunch of regular season and postseason records to boot. I mean, looking at the postseason records, most points of any postseason run in WNBA history, most 30-point games in WNBA postseason history, first player in WNBA Finals history to record back-to-back 25 points in 10 rebound games. She's 3rd all-time in WNBA postseason scoring. Like I told y'all, every time she steps on the court, it's like multiple records get broken, more than we can actually count. It's like every time we think she breaks one record, she breaks another one and another one after that. Folks, every time we watch Asia Wilson play basketball, it's like we're watching history. And many know the story of how we got here. Drafted in 2018, coming out of South Carolina, she won a national championship with them the year prior. The Aces missed the playoffs in 2018, but Asia won Rookie of the Year. The Aces made the playoffs in 2019, but lost to the eventual champion Mystics in the semifinals. In 2020, Asia won her first MVP, but the Aces got swept in the finals by the Seattle Storm. And then in 2021, they lose a heartbreaking Game 5 to the Phoenix Mercury in the semifinal. And what would have been the game-winning shot for Asia was actually blocked by Brittany Griner. And it was a loss so devastating that Asia was down on the court in tears. And then she came back next year, became the first player to win MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and a championship in the same season. Then they went back-to-back in 2023, but only this time she lost out the MVP to Breanna Stewart, but then again, Asia won Finals MVP. And then in 2024, Asia became the first player in league history to score 1,000 points in a single year, becomes the second player in the history of the league to win a unanimous MVP, the other being Cynthia Cooper in 97. And then, of course, this year, She becomes the fastest player to 5,000 career points. She puts up the league's first ever 30-20 game, and now she wins a championship and a finals MVP to go along with that, and another league MVP. And folks, I didn't even think of it like this, but it's gotten to the point where you could have great players who are playing in the WNBA right now who are probably not going to win the major awards, who are probably not going to win the MVPs, and who are probably not going to win championships because they are playing in the same era of basketball that A'ja Wilson is playing in. I mean, A'ja is just too good. She's too dominant. A phenomenal season from her and a phenomenal season for the 2025 champion Las Vegas Aces. This was a very fun season, folks. Now, I know it had its ups and downs. I mean, it had its roller coaster moments, but for the most part, it was a very fun and exciting season, and I really enjoyed talking about the games and breaking them down with you guys here on the Rundown. And of course, as the WNBA is now entering into the off season, the big thing now is getting this CBA done. It's time to get these ladies paid. It's time to give them what they're asking for so we can go out and we can have another season again in 2026 and have more fun covering WNBA basketball. Let's get these ladies paid, folks. Like, comment, subscribe, click that notification bell to be notified of when I post again, and also follow me on Twitter and on Bluesky at CW Talk Sports. That's CWTALKS Sports, and I will see y'all the next time. Peace.